Summary: Debbie's quest for permanent residency in Canada hits a roadblock when she is denied entry at the Canadian border. Debbie is more in love with the idea of moving to Canada than she is with her boyfriend, Tony. Moving too fast in their relationship, Debbie may reconsider and decide to date someone in America instead of relocating to Canada with Tony. 90 Day. The Single Life Season 3 couple Debbie Johnson and Tony Starcevich are likely heading for a split. Debbie was a franchise villain who was introduced to viewers in 90 Day Fiancé Season 6. Debbie's son Colt Johnson starred in the show with his Brazilian partner Larissa Lima, whom Debbie detested greatly. Larissa wasn't aware of Debbie's extremely close bond with her son, and this led to clashes between them. After his divorce from Larissa, Colt dated a woman called Jess Caroline and later married Debbie and his close friend, Vanessa Guerra. Shockingly, once Colt and Vanessa ended up together, Debbie started feeling left out. Debbie's husband of 27 years, Harley Johnson, passed away 13 years ago. Debbie now ached to have a partner she could spend the sunset years of her lifetime with. Debbie re-entered the dating scene. After hitting it off online with Tony, Debbie met him in Sin City in person for the first time. Tony was never Debbie's ideal man, but Debbie came to realize that the person one thinks they want to fall in love with is not always what one imagined them to be. Debbie made Tony her boyfriend right after that first meeting and decided she was leaving her Nevada home to permanently live with Tony in Canada. Related 20 Best Reality TV Shows. Right now television is being impacted by the ongoing entertainment industry strikes, leaving many turning to reality TV. What are the best shows right now? Debbie is desperate for permanent residency. Debbie was looking for a lawyer in November 2023. Debbie posted an appeal to her followers on Instagram asking them to help her if they could. Debbie told her fans to message her, ASAP, with any information they could give her about getting permanent residency in Canada. She reached out to her followers in the Vancouver area. Debbie said she urgently needed an immigration lawyer. Not too expensive, she added, and mentioned that the lawyer's services could be pro bono, which meant she was looking for someone who could give her valuable legal advice and support without seeking a professional fee. Debbie was still living in Canada back then, as revealed by the rest of her message. She added, I love it here and really want to get my permanent residency. Debbie wrote that if her followers could help her they could message her and mentioned, please, please. A fan told Debbie, you can't just move to Canada from the US, or any other country. There's a thing called immigration laws, in the comments. However, Debbie may have chosen to ignore the fans' advice since she ended up in deep trouble while attempting to move to Tony's country. Debbie was denied entry at Canadian border. Debbie messed up big time. Debbie took to social media to share an update about what happened after she sought help from an immigration lawyer. Debbie and Tony were trying to enter Canada together when Canadian citizen Tony was allowed entry, but Debbie wasn't. She wrote she had some really bad news to share with her fans. She said she was turned down at the Canadian border. Debbie had to go back to Vegas until her permanent residency was filed. Debbie claimed she was given bad information and didn't file the papers on time. Debbie again asked her fans to send their prayers please and explained the next steps to reunite with Tony. Tony can't manage a long-distance relationship. Debbie doesn't want a long-distance lover at 70. Debbie revealed she was in the process of gathering all the required documents and information she needed to apply for Canadian residency. Debbie had traveled to live with Tony several times. She was even filmed with Tony in his Port Coquitlam house for 90 Day, The Single Life Season 3. Debbie had visited Canada and had not faced any issues previously. She was confused about why she was prevented from re-entering Canada now. "They say nope, you can't come in until your paperwork is filed," Debbie explained. Debbie wished for the authorities to show some sympathy for a couple in their 70s who wanted to be together. Debbie failed to address Tony's tattoo controversy. Debbie disappointed fans with her response. Debbie had fallen hard and fast for Tony when she introduced him as her boyfriend on 90 Day, The Single Life. However, in 2022, fans who spotted one of Tony's shirtless photos in his season premiere introduction segment, noticed that he had a tattoo with ties to a Croatian fascist group. The design looked like the one found on the Croatian flag. However, the pattern had a distinct resemblance to the sigil that the Croatian fascist group called the Ustaše, who were responsible for the deaths of hundreds of thousands of Serbians, Jews, and Romani people during World War II were using. Debbie had not fallen for Tony because of his physique and his tattooed body. He wasn't even her type at first when she met him. However, when fans confronted Debbie, she told a fan that it wasn't a white supremacy tattoo. Debbie insisted it was a Croatian flag. Reddit user Mommy says Bad Turds 2 shared a screenshot of Debbie's IG comments where she defended her boyfriend's controversial tattoo and told a fan they were as stupid as they looked and added, "I mean, you are just plain ignorant," while accusing them of spreading lies to get attention. Debbie is in love with the idea of moving, not with Tony. Debbie could relocate anywhere. Canada is an excuse. Close. When Debbie was in Canada visiting Tony, she went for a walk on a beach. She exclaimed, "I love it here." Debbie admitted it was probably the most relaxed that she had felt for years. Debbie wanted to run away from the noisy and crowded Vegas. She was craving a life-changing event after years of living for her son Colt. Debbie confessed she had mixed feelings about going to Canada. She also thought Tony's house was creepy. However, Debbie also said that she had been separated on a permanent basis from her son and perhaps saw no point in living close to him in the same city. Tony moved too fast in the relationship. Debbie needs to slow down. Debbie decided to move to Canada after her second visit to her long-distance boyfriend, Tony. Debbie was 100% sure that she wanted to move out of Las Vegas and leave the U.S. for good. At first, Debbie did question whether she was moving too fast after meeting Tony's friends. She was contemplating whether she was ready to make such a major move, which involved leaving her own friends and family behind. Debbie concluded that, one way or the other, she wanted to live with Tony instead of ending the relationship and coming back home. Debbie secretly misses her son Colt. Debbie regrets breaking ties with Colt. Close. Debbie found a person to be fixated upon after having obsessed with her son who had replaced her with his new wife. Debbie started feeling very comfortable with Tony and saw herself spending every minute of every hour with him. Debbie was grieving that there was no family to stop her from leaving. Moving to Canada altogether meant that she was letting Colt feel she was giving up on their relationship and deserting him after all these years. Debbie saw that Colt and Vanessa needed their space. At the same time, she decided not to invade their privacy. Debbie could be yearning for Colt to come and stop her from leaving. Debbie could be wanting to get rid of Tony. Does Debbie want to date an American man? Debbie decided that Tony was the one she saw spending her forever with. It meant that she was taking a big risk by moving to Canada with him. Debbie revealed she was going to be staying with Larissa until she could get her immigration issues figured out. She has invited me to stay with her, she added. Debbie's new friendship with Larissa might make her realize everything she'll miss once she's relocated. Debbie might end up breaking up with Tony for good if she isn't able to reunite with him. Debbie's ideal life with Tony might now involve her staying back in America and him coming to the U.S. Debbie always wanted Tony to get along with Colt and her family. On 90 Day, The Single Life, she expected Tony to get acquainted with Colt, so it could help her and Colt's relationship to grow stronger. However, since that never happened, Debbie might just decide she'll look for love in America instead and say goodbye for good to Tony. 90 Day. The Single Life airs Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time on TLC. Source: Debbie Johnson, Instagram. Debbie Johnson, Instagram. Mommy says bad turds too. Reddit. 90 Day. The Single Life. 90 Day. The Single Life is one of TLC's many spin-offs of 90 Day Fiancé. In this companion show, singles are pulled back into the dating world after their previous relationships ended in disaster. The Single Life follows couples as they start relationships with new people but struggle to move on from past romantic partners completely.